Welcome. It's time. It's time for a market update with Zenith Energy and CEO Andrea Cattaneo regarding the IPO of the spin-off Reveille Resources PLC. Good morning, good day, Mr. Cattaneo.
Good day too.
Congratulations on a successful IPO yesterday for the spin-off company. Could you put some more color to it?
Well, of course, as you say, a spin-off, an IPO of a company within the group, a new baby in the family, is a fantastic achievement, especially because each IPO, as people doing IPOs know well, is full of complications and the last moment banana skin. And so then to have completed successfully with an increase of the stock in the first day of 150% is extremely good. And so that is something that permits great satisfaction in the Zenith family. I would like to share it with all the shareholders, the value of what we have in Reveille Resources PLC, now in Aquis, is a great add to the market cap and the value and the future of Zenith itself, because we have the largest shareholder position, is the optimal setup for an uranium company, as we will explain in a second. And then we will, with our 29% eventual control, with the increase of capital that we intend to do in the following day, respecting the rules and the rules of not exceeding the 29.9 that exist in London, be in a very satisfactory position, taking the best out of uranium instead of what it was sitting before in our portfolio. As in fact, the people should remember, the increase of value that we had when we announced progressively the progress in Futuro Energetico Italiano, FEI, our Italian subsidiary focusing solely in uranium, was minimal. And there were some days where we were making an announcement about the uranium progress in which the stock was going down. So that obviously didn't resonate positive enough in our portfolio, and then we have decided to spin it off, and then this is what we have successfully done. We have to remember the quality that these mines they have. They are two mines, and when I say mines, it's a characterization instead of saying deposit. The majority of our peers, indeed, they have deposit, so means a piece of land under which, by various instruments, geological and studies and measurement, for example, in the case of uranium with Geiger, have seen the potential presence of quantity of uranium. In our case, we have instead 25 kilometers of galleries that have been dug with the recent technology between 1960 and 1987, which for mining technology is quite already advanced. And so then we have this evidence of deposit that once that we will be in production will permit to be one of the prime location in Europe. So that is an incredible reality, especially considering that one, uranium is a very rare mineral, not like rare earth, but is a mineral that has been found in Europe just in very few locations and has been mined effectively only historically one in the Metallifer mountains of Czechoslovakia. So of what was called in those days Czechoslovakia. Then these mines are not producing anymore, and there is a very little, if any, production of uranium in Europe. So all these characteristics make of our mines a very important asset that is look at it with respect by the specialist of uranium. Where they sit, the specialist of uranium, they sit mainly in London, where there is an old mining tradition since the 600, 700 mining activity and investing overseas on it have been created in the city of London. But then with the discovery of uranium, and then recently in the last 30 years, the activity of having uranium use for nuclear station, the main specialized investors of uranium, they are in the city of London. So the choice of the exchange has been made of that. The choice of the equities market has been made on the base that the main market is extremely expensive. Even AIM, which was supposed initially made to encourage junior companies to get listed, has become very expensive. So Aquis, which is owned by a Swiss entity, which make this institution very credible, is, especially for the size of the mother company, is very promising, is growing very fast, and the price of an IPO is very reasonable. So these are the factor of our choice for making this IPO of Reveille, and I'm very pleased that's fully succeed.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. And why is giving the own listed vehicle the right move for Zenith shareholders? And what does it unlock that keeping it in-house couldn't?
You know, the Zenith is, to answer to your question, the second part of your question first, Zenith has a very composite portfolio where there is an extraordinary impact by the arbitration, which is $573 million for the exceed, and there is still to be encashed the 10 million of our victory in ICC 1, and then the annulment, which will bring, in case of success, another ICC arbitration for the amount of, again, $130 million. So in total, we have an impact of arbitration of $713 million, which is, of course, a very important number, especially considering that the board has already declared that in case of a victory in this arbitration, there will be an extraordinary dividend to shareholders. Then there is the solar park, which has not been looked by the shareholders with great interest in the initial part of the history, so the year 2025. But then in the year 2026, the size that we've reached, 200 mega, has made it very credible, and especially the perception that soon we will start to sell part of our portfolio, roughly, we believe, 50%, while we are making at the moment the construction of the first one. So in comparison with these two very important elements, especially the arbitration, the uranium was victim of an oversight, and nobody was really looking at it in its entire value. So being in a company on its own is already a success, because the analysts and the investors, they will invest on it and analyze it on the basis of what it is, the only two mines in Europe, and a great quantity of realistically available uranium fissile fuel to be sold. So that is something that on its own make the best. Then we have to repeat that uranium peers, there are all companies that they have only the activity of uranium in the company and not a diversified portfolio. So then to be aligned with our peers, which is the market, we have to be as well a one business company only. And then third is the fact that Zenith has, of course, suffered the rules for which we cannot exceed 29.9, but at the same time, we have the possibility to enjoy a much larger market capitalization, as has been the fate of the other peers, so we don't see why not ours. And then even 29.9 of a large amount of market capitalization is something that is very promising for the investors. So we believe that this has been the right choice. We look at Reveille future with great enthusiasm. At the moment is doing the environmental impact studies, which are very important for the society and the population around the mines and for the general perception of the Italian public. We are used to that. We have done VIA, which is the name of environmental reports, all the way from the start of our petroleum and oil and gas activity in 2010. So we are very familiar with the process. We do it with the great serious attitude and with the use of top quality advisors. So we are optimistic, and then when we will pass to that, we will start with the exploration phase in making the assessment of the exact quantity that we have as reserve. This will bring again another re-rating of the company because we will know exactly how much uranium we have. So I look with great optimism and with great satisfaction to the future of Reveille within Zenith Energy Group.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. I'm sure a lot of investors are following your news feed at the moment. And good luck on the congratulations for the IPO, and thank you for this update.
On that point, I wanted to stress to our Scandinavian investors that we are very pleased to be in Scandinavia, and we are especially very pleased with the Euronext growth in Oslo and with the spotlight in Stockholm. And is not unlikely, so it's possible that we will have the similar setup as we did with Zenith, so to have one and then maybe two of these Scandinavian investment in a way to permit to our investors to invest and trade the stock at their higher convenience.
Okay, thank you so much for today, Andrea, and until next time.
Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Ciao.